Hey guys, it's your boy Tacho here, and we are back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes. Now today what we're going to do is we're just going to do a little review of the Tempest Trial that we got in the game, and we're also going to be discussing builds for the Tempest Trial unit and my impressions on this unit, as well as the Sacred Seals that we've gotten. So, also, while I'm going over all of that stuff on the left-hand corner, we're also going to do a quick little run in Tempest Trials, just for fun. Alright, so let's just start things off by taking a look at the Sacred Seals that we got for this round. So, Even Spd Wave and Speed and Defense Bond. So, ever since they dropped the total amount of Sacred Seals we've been getting down to 2, pretty much every time we've gotten a really big Sacred Seal. Like, the first time they gave us Death Blow 3, which of course was one of the longest awaited Sacred Seals. And we also got Sturdy Stance last time, so that's another big time seal. Now, unfortunately, this time I don't think either of these seals are going to be a big time Sacred Seal. Even Spd Wave is okay, but I mean, you guys already know how I feel about these wave skills. They only activate every other turn, so they're not really the best if you want to consistently buff your stats. I mean, it is nice that they can buff the unit that has it, as well as your allies, and they are pretty budget in comparison to Joint Hones and Joint Fortifies, which would do the same thing, but on every turn. So these skills aren't really that bad, but I'm just not the biggest fan. And Speed and Defense Bond is okay as a seal. I mean, it's not bad, especially if you're playing on auto battle and you're just grinding away. The Bond skills aren't too bad for Sacred Seals, but Speed and Defense isn't really the best combination for a Bond skill, so I don't think this one is really going to see all that much use. But it isn't too bad of a seal. It just sucks that we didn't get a really crazy Sacred Seal for this round. Now, for the Tempest Trial unit, we got this Groom Hinata, and I mean, in classic Hinata fashion, this guy looks like an amazing unit to use for fodder. So he comes with Huge Fan Plus, which is a brand new axe. And while you have an active bonus on the unit that has it, they're going to gain attack and defense up 4 during combat, and they're going to gain a light version of the breath effect. So for every foe's attack, they're going to be gaining +1 special charge. That's very good, of course, and I mean, the breath skill is one of the best for special ramping, especially for bait units, and it is the reason, of course, why Brave Lucina's refine was like one of the craziest refines we ever got. So Huge Fan is going to be an awesome inheritable axe for all of those great free-to-play axe units. We've got a whole bunch of them, like Ross and Echidna. Also, the Flame Emperor is a nice choice, and there's just a whole bunch more, and there's just way too much to talk about. He also comes with Close Guard 3, which we did get previously on the Death Knight, so this isn't the first time we've gotten this as free-to-play fodder. But Close Guard is, of course, a very good skill, and it basically just works like a ward type of skill, where you're able to passively grant +4 defense and res to an ally within 2 spaces, as long as they're fighting a close type opponent. So it's not movement restricted like the ward skills are, but it is restricted on the opponent. So it's only going to work on melee types, pretty much, which is still fine. I mean, as long as you know you're going to be fighting melee opponents, this is, of course, going to be a great skill. And he also comes with Reciprocal Aid and Attack and Defense Bond, which are okay. Attack and Defense Bond isn't too shabby for fodder if you're just really quickly trying to pick up a 240 SP skill on a unit for scoring, but it's not really optimal as far as A-slot skills go. So overall, not bad. This is a pretty cool free unit that we've gotten. And his stat line is pretty nice too. He has tons and tons of attack and defense, and his HP is quite good for infantry. He also comes with a 172 BST, which is quite high for a free-to-play infantry unit. So if you wanted to use him for scoring, he's not too bad, as he can outscore the dual skills. But he does slouch on res, and unfortunately we don't have a +7 res axe in the game yet, like we have for the lances and the swords. So it's going to be a lot harder to really fix this guy's low res. Now, for the budget build on this guy, we're going to go ahead and focus mainly on his attack and defense. Now, I have run the res refine on Huge Fan on this build, and that's because he's geared towards fighting melee types, and of course, dragon units are all melee types as well. So he is going to want that little bit extra res if he's fighting a dragon type. Also, close defense as the seal is going to be nice for raising his res against dragons. So I think the res refine is probably going to be the best bet. You could go for the defense refine as well, but I mean, his defense is so good already, it's going to end up being overkill in some instances. And we are, of course, going to be taking advantage of the breath skill that Huge Fan grants. So he's going to be able to counterattack every hit with Noontime. And the healing he gets from that is going to help him maintain Quick Riposte 3. So he can keep on double attacking the foes when they initiate combat on him. And his low speed isn't going to be that big of a deal in that regard. It doesn't protect him from foes getting double attacks though, but I mean, with every counterattack being a Noontime to the face, he's going to be pretty good at sustaining his health for the most part. Now, if you do have Brave Lucina to support this guy, you could actually scrap the Huge Fan and go for a different weapon, like for example, the Slaying Axe Plus, and then in that case, you're free to run Soul as the special just for some bigger heals. Or if you wanted, I mean, you could go for Bonfire as well, so this guy could just smack the foes even harder on the counter hit and have a better chance of getting the one-shots. So Huge Fan, even though it is really good, if you do have Brave Lucina, it is a flexible option, and there's a whole bunch of really good axes you could go for on this guy, so just pick your favorite. Alright, now for a more high investment build, if you really like Hinata and you want to just go all in with the investment on him, then you can go for this physical bait build. So Distant Foil and Lull Attack and Defense 3 are high investment skills, but they combo very nicely on this guy. So as long as you stick him to baiting against bows and daggers, he's going to be able to make perfect use of that massive defense stat. And the physical type ranged units are not going to be able to touch him at all. Distant Foil also grants stats even if you're fighting a melee type opponent. So the +5 attack and defense is basically always going to see play on this guy. So very nice stuff there, of course. Once again, we are going for Huge Fan and Noontime, but if you do have Brave Lucina for support, feel free to run something else as the weapon or the special if you'd prefer. But it's a pretty nice build and pretty good for just baiting physical type opponents. And if you want this guy to be a little more all-purpose with his baiting, we have an all-purpose bait build here. So this time we are going to try to invest in his res a bit. So we've taken the res refine on Slaying Axe, and we're running Mirror Stance too. So with all of that in play, he's going to be essentially at 29 res when the foes are attacking him. And that's definitely a lot better. It's not by any means a crazy amount of res, but with the way the rest of this build is working, it's not going to be a problem. So you're going to need Brave Lucina for this one to work, but if you have her, then this is going to be an awesome build for sure. We have Special Spiral and Aether, and with the Slaying Axe, cutting Aether down to a 4-hit cooldown, and with Special Spiral, regenerating 2 special cooldown count after combat, and with Brave Lucina, giving her passive breath effect. This guy is going to counter every hit with Aether after he uses it for the first time in battle. So Aether, of course, is incredible for doing damage and healing back some health. And because of that, it's not going to matter too much that his res isn't really the craziest. So the foes are going to hit this guy, and then immediately on the counterattack, he's going to finish them off with Aether and basically heal back all the health that he had just lost from that fight. So this is a nice build for sustain and doing some crazy damage. Also, Pulse Smoke, of course, on this build, so he can shut down infantry pulse teams and have an easier time baiting those units that like to have instantly charged special attacks. So pretty much the only way for mages to get through this build is for them to actually one-shot Hinata. And if they're a red mage, that might be possible, but for all the other mages, because his HP is so high for an infantry type unit, it's not going to be too likely that they can get the one-shot on this guy without a special attack. So he should hold his own quite well. And finally, if you want to player phase with this guy, of course he's got a massive attack and defense stat, so he's going to be pretty good at pulling off a bonfire build. So once again, we're going with the Slaying Axe Plus. I mean, the -1 special trigger is just so good, and it's one of the best weapon effects you can have. And with attack and defense push, he's going to be raising his attack and defense by 7 while also taking some chip damage. So that's going to make it easier for him to get into Wrath and Brazen attack and defense range. And once he's there, those bonfires are going to hit like a truck and pretty much just one-shot all the foes that he attacks. And danger builds like this are also very nice for Dancer support, because once he gets low on HP, it's going to be easy to support him with Wings of Mercy and Dancing. So it's going to be real easy to keep him out of harm's way and just keep attacking the foes when he has Wrath and Bonfire ready to go. And because Wrath is going to grant -1 special cooldown charge at the start of every turn once he's below 75% health, you can just run around the map with this guy and continuously charge your special until Bonfire is ready, and then just go for a big attack. So pretty cool nuke type of build here. Times Pulse is also pretty clutch, so he can charge up Bonfires even faster. And with Times Pulse and Wrath, he's basically going to charge up Bonfire after every time he uses the special at the start of the next turn. So it's going to be real easy to spam that with this build. And that's pretty much going to wrap us up for the builds on Hinata. I mean, he's a really cool unit, but I do think that some of the other Axe units we've gotten for free-to-play do outshine him just a little bit. Like, for example, for player phase, we got that Tempest Trial Minerva not too long ago, and she's just a really good player phase Axe unit. And for baiting, we also have other Axes like Halloween Dorcas and Ross and Echidna, who you can summon for in the normal pool, and you don't have to waste Heroic Grails on them. So I would say those two are a little bit more viable overall than Hinata, and they are more cost efficient since you don't have to use Heroic Grails. And there's also the Flame Emperor that we got, who is the highest scoring free-to-play unit currently in the game, and that's another really good Axe free-to-play unit. So it is unfortunate that Hinata does have such stiff competition, but he is a pretty cool prize unit for sure, and he's got a lot of good fodder skills. So it's really cool that we got this guy for free. And that's going to wrap us up for today's video, guys. So thanks so much for watching. And as always, this is your boy Tacho signing out. So cheers, have a great one, and I'll catch you all again next time.